I'm Phil. Welcome to Pretty Good Cooking.
Pretty good.
The power's out, and it's 96 degrees out. We hope the power comes back on, but if not, hopefully we can make this dish. Here's the funny thing. We're making a cold dish which requires refrigeration, and that refrigerator ain't getting any cooler anytime soon. Oh, I just locked my wife out of the house. So, in light of it being hot and it's getting hotter, we're gonna just try to rough it, and if it doesn't come out perfect, oh well. Tonight on the show, we are making bibim. Oh shit. Okay, so here's the even funnier thing is I don't think I can actually reference the recipe. Oh, sorry. Bibim Naengmyeon, which I'm sure I butchered that a little bit. If I could just get the recipe to load. I don't know, it's crazy. Like the power's out and the cell network is not loading anything. So we all kind of think that maybe the rapture occurred and we got left behind. They took our internet with them. God damn it. Okay, so I know how to make radish pickles. Is the ratio gonna be perfect? I don't know. But it starts with that. So here I have a Korean radish. Now you, viewer, may think of this Korean radish. Let me put the spotlight on there. There it is. And here it is in rave mode. So you may be seeing this and you're like, oh, I know what that is. That's a daikon. It's not. It's false. We got you. Not this time. We made it up. This is mu or mu. I don't know. I'm not Korean. But it's a Korean radish, so it is, I believe it is denser, a slightly spicier, and has a more robust flavor. And you can tell it apart from daikon specifically because there's this green coloration on the side of the radish. And also, it has more of a rounded shape instead of more of a cylindrical shape. Okay, so I'm gonna peel this here radish. All right, so this is a pretty big radish. I think that my digital scale has a battery, so I can probably tell you how big it is. How big this radish is. We're gonna do everything in metric today. This is a 757 gram radish. And the recipe, as I recall, calls for 700 grams of radish. So how do we fix that? We lop off the ends. And that's close enough for me. Sure, I'm sure I'll mess it up at some point. You can use a mandolin. You can use a knife. Okay, so I'm gonna do this in the old style, which is using a knife. But basically what we wanna do is to cut this into matchsticks. And here's an example of how you might do it. This is really gonna be a funny episode as long as the power's out, because I am working from memory from a recipe that I researched at 4 in the morning when I couldn't sleep. So, yeah, we'll see. Okay, now to this incredibly large pile of radishes, we're gonna add 2 tablespoons of granulated sugar, which is just regular sugar, in case you didn't know that. And in addition, we will add 1 tablespoon of salt. Now I will tell you, this is kosher salt by the way, that is from memory and could be completely wrong. This particular recipe also said to add Gochugaru, which is the Korean chili pepper flake. And to my dismay, this was not sealed. However, it's just pepper flakes, so we'll probably live, okay? It's probably fine. We're gonna just throw a bunch of vinegar on there. So I'm gonna add a tablespoon of those, and this will give it a little bit of spice. Okay, so the next thing will be to add vinegar. And I cannot remember if it is vinegar and water. Typically when I make these kind of pickles, I cut some of the vinegar, but I'm thinking, using my brain, that if I just use vinegar, it will pickle faster, and these are quicker pickles. My neighbor Jan, who I gave a battery to, is now out in the street trying to find cell service. Literally wandering in the middle of the street. Okay, so I'm just gonna dump some vinegar on this here bowl of radishes, and then hope for the best. And I'm gonna use a glove to mix it all up. Now radishes they have a high water content. So the salt in particular should help to draw out some moisture, and that should kind of create a little bit of a brine for us. I also should have tried the radish before putting anything on it, since I haven't had it before, I don't think. Very nice, very nice. And I'll just push them down into the bowl so you have a little bit of brine going. And off to the side, they'll go. So in addition to that, you will need to boil some eggs. I have boiled them ahead of time. I did that earlier this afternoon. Typically it's like 1 egg per person. I did 7 eggs so that we could add more if we wanted to. And in the interest of hoping the power comes back on, we'll just leave it there for now. So we'll be back. All right, so I got the recipe, thank God. And I'm going to start with a pear. This is an Asian pear, sometimes called a Korean pear. I need to peel it. This is pretty ripe. It has quite a bit of give to it, but it's not mushy. So I think this is actually like correctly ripe. I had to go to multiple stores to find one of this, and I bought 2 just in case I want more of it. The pear, if you can't find this pear, you can use Bosc pears, which I also bought because I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to find this. So we are wealthy in pears. So because I've never made this before, I am going to try to follow the rest of the recipe as closely as possible. So what it says is to peel and split the pear in 2, and that is in 2 pieces, not me just having a cliffhanger of a sentence there. You might even say into 2. So it says to coarsely chop 1/2 of this. So I'll just coarsely chop it. I'll also comment that I think this is a small pear. I should have, let's weigh it real quick. I might actually need to use the whole thing. It said 300 grams, half a pear, yeah, okay. So I'm gonna end up using both because 2 of these small pears will be like 1 big one. So I'll go ahead and coarsely chop pear number 1B. That's what it is. This is the 1B pear. And then we will add half of a small yellow onion. This is our half an onion. You knew there was no way to avoid that in the recipe. That is actually how I pick recipes for PGC. I just Google half an onion, see what comes up. Give that the same treatment, throwing it together, chopping it up. And next will be 3-ish cloves of garlic. I have some small fiddly cloves, so I'm going to use 1 regular clove and then 4 small cloves to get that 3-clove amount. Next up is 1 scallion, or green onion, which we will just give a coarse chop, and there it is. Followed by 3 tablespoons of totally not compromised pepper flakes. This is our Gochugaru. I picked hot. No, I didn't. This has no heat associated with it. Maybe I should try that. That's probably like a medium heat at most. It's not that spicy at all. Next up will be Gachujang. And this I went for hot. Number 1. It's the number 1 seller in Korea. Is this one. Hai Chandel? However you say that. Thank God the seal's intact on this one. Ooh wee! Look at that. Yeah, that tastes right. That's really good. Ooh, that's good. We're gonna have 3 tablespoons of that. So if you couldn't tell, this is gonna be a little spicy. Maybe. All right. Okay, next up is another specialty ingredient, which you can substitute if you would like. I actually bought a bottle of this a long time ago. This is rice syrup. And this brand actually is 100% rice syrup. You can just use honey or a sweetener of your choice if you don't feel like springing for this. But I will also say, I bought a bottle of this years ago, used it for nothing, and I looked at it today and it expired over 2 years ago, so I threw it out. And bought another one. It's very good, hard to describe. It has texture very similar to honey. It reminds me of some desserts, I guess. I'm not super familiar with it. It's pretty good, I like it. Pretty good. So 2 tablespoons of that, followed by a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. I don't know how authentic, I mean, are Koreans using that? I don't know, but this recipe uses it, so pop that bad boy in. And a tablespoon of soy sauce. I'm just using Kikkoman today. I did get some nicer soy sauce at the grocery store, but I don't want to have multiple bottles open. And the recipe I'm referencing says to include sesame oil, but if they forgot to put it in the ingredients list, so I don't actually know how much goes in, so I will be adding in a splash. Sesame oil is a really, really strong flavor, so let's just do 1 of those, which is probably too much, but that's fine. And that is the ingredients for our sauce, which need to be blended into a sauce. And we have no power. Now, ideally, we would use the food processor. And I think there's a world where we do that, but there's also a world where I just use an immersion blender. So, how are we gonna get this done? Maybe I should ask my wife if she's got any good ideas. She already gave us an idea. My truck has a power outlet. So I'm gonna try to use this immersion blender in my truck. So my immediate concern is that it's too thick. But maybe I can make it work. I think I can make it work. Too thick, like yo mom. Oh yeah, now we're getting juicy. You want to see some blending action? Trying to scrape the sides so we get everything incorporated in the state of Delaware for tax purposes. Looking good. I think that is probably a good consistency. Yeah, so I'll try to show you. I don't want to be too messy here, but you can see we have a really nice thick sauce here. I'll just show you inside. That's probably the best thing. But anyways, look at us. We managed to make it happen with no power in my house. I'm gonna go turn the truck off. Okay, so this is, we're gonna get the noodles cooked. It's a special kind of noodle. I guess I could have filled the pot before talking over the water. But so this is the Naengmyeon Asian style noodle. Most of these come with a soup packet because there are other styles for this dish. It's actually typically eaten as a cold soup. I'll show you these soup packets. It's basically like a beef broth, and so a more traditional or like the most classic way of preparing this basically was just like having these very chewy buckwheat noodles in a cold beef broth. We're gonna skip the broth today, although you can certainly add a little bit of beef broth to this version. You know, that's not gonna ruin it. But we're making the spicy version, which typically doesn't have broth. Get my pot of water on. The recipe that I'm... Oh
Electric
yeah,
starter.
it's an electric starter. Big brain. Ah! Okay, we'll get that water on the boil. One of the advantages of having a gas range is that you can cook when the power's out. No, Vinny, you have to stay inside. It's too hot out there. Okay, you win this time. Go, 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 go! Okay, so we'll put that on. Like I was trying to say, recipe calls for a pound. This is 1.35 pounds, so we'll just cook it all. Just have more noodles. Very interesting looking. They're supposed to be very, very chewy, and yeah. All right, so while the water's heated up, let's get the rest of our garnishes. So I'll go ahead and peel the other pear. And hey, John, how do you think we're gonna cut this pear?
With a knife?
Yes, but in what shape?
Chunks?
Good guess, try again.
Juliennes?
That's right. Everything's in matchsticks forever. Great. And that'll be even more fun with this pear, which of course is quite a bit softer. I'm julienning the pear. We will be back. Time to boil our noodle. Package says just 2 or 3 minutes. So we'll not set a timer. Thank God I have a phone with a timer. Or I could just count to 180. Stopwatch is on. It does look pretty weird. That's okay. So we'll be back in like 2 minutes. Okay, so I ended up doing about 2.5 minutes. I just tried some noodles and they are fully cooked. They are chewy, but I think it's good to go. So we'll pour them down the drain. Just kidding, we're pouring them into a strainer. Haha, I've never made that joke before. Gets them every time. Hey, wait a minute. So now that we have them in the water, I'm gonna run cold water to get these cooled and to stop the cooking. And if ice was not such a limited commodity in my house at the moment, I might even throw some ice in there. But essentially what I'm doing now is just trying to cool these noodles down. And I'm using the pot below and filling that up with coldish water. That should help a little bit. Yummy, yummy, yummy. Weird noodle. Okay, so here is our noodles and we will serve it up. So in a bowl where you can have kind of like a shallowish container, we will fill it with these nice cold noodles. Of course, if you have better refrigeration or electricity at all, you may be able to get them colder than what we did. And it is traditional, to the best of my understanding, to add like a little bit of sesame oil on the noodles itself. Just a dash like that, give it a quick toss. And we need our sauce, which we so lovingly made in a truck. Some of you might have been made in a truck. Got him. All right, here's our sauce. Go ahead and put the sauce directly onto the noodles, like so. I believe that it's frequently presented in such a way that you just kind of have the sauce on top and then the diner will mix it up to their liking. Okay, next we will add very thinly sliced cucumber. I am preserving the fan because I think that'll make for a pretty picture, but of course, you can just throw it on there like a maniac, and that would be fine. Some pear matchsticks. Man, look at this artful arrangement of food items. I love it. Some of our radishes, radish pickle. which of course is a room temperature pickle today. That's okay. See, I'm kind of contrasting with the direction of radishes. And of course, very yummy eggs. I'm gonna pick prettier ones for the photo. There's an egg, and there's another egg. I think that looks pretty nice. Minced green onion, a little sprinkle over the top, like so. And if you would like, you could add some sesame seeds. I only had very old sesame seeds, which I decided to throw away instead of putting on this dish. And there it is, our bibim. I can't remember the word. This dish. Okay, so I'm gonna mix up my food. Those noodles be pretty sticky. You can run some scissors through these if you want more manageable noodles. Which I understand why now, because my teeth ain't cutting them. It tastes great. You know, it has a wonderful spicy sauce, but it's not too spicy. It's actually pretty well balanced. And it's cold, which is great. I'm really happy to be eating this as my house gets hotter and hotter. This is awesome. The only way this could be better is if it was like colder, but it's totally refreshing. It reminds me of rice noodle salad because it kind of is something similar. But I strongly recommend this. I thought this was awesome. It is spicy, it is sweet, a little tangy. And that's our show. Bye-bye. Pray for us. It's hot.